Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. This is Scott Jorgens, Senior Marketing Manager from Endeavour Solutions. This is our October webinar series for a rapid-fire overview and demo of SmartList Builder. Online with me is Nicole Albertson from E1 Solutions, and they're a really great partner of Endeavour's, and thrilled to have her on the call today to talk about SmartList Builder and provide a quick demo on that. Nicole, next slide. Just a quick about Endeavour for those that are new to us. This has gone out to prospects, customers, and I see a number of familiar faces on the line, and we will be recording this for future use. GP for the last 25 years. If you can think of the company in three main buckets: advisory services and helping with selection, strategy, choosing best-of-breed third-party products, and ultimately bringing the industry expertise to assist with the workflow automation for the customer reports, business intelligence, and ultimately guiding the implementation team. We are have deep expertise in Microsoft Dynamics GP as well as Dynamics CRM, and bring those together with cloud, e-business, and mobile. We have a very strong support team, help desk that works 5 days a week and assists with hot fixes, upgrades, service packs, and happy to provide any assistance for those are on the line, especially when it comes to SmartList Builder. Next slide. With SmartList Builder in mind, we do have a special promotion, which will be this fall of 2015, expiring December 15th. Purchases via us will be discounted to $1,500 plus maintenance, and that's a nice, healthy discount going into the holiday season. Those who are interested, either contact myself, Scott Jorgens, or Steve Ewing, Director of Business Development, and his contact information is here, as well as on the Contact Us page on our website. Next slide. And our website is www.endeavorsolutions.ca. I'd also encourage those on the line to please follow us and visit us on our LinkedIn page. I'm going to be using LinkedIn as a primary vehicle to announce future events and webinars, and they will be followed up eventually with a mass email as you would have received earlier this month. But for those that want to be in the know, follow us on LinkedIn, and you'll be seeing our announcements and be the first to find out. So without any delay, I'd like to pass this over to Nicole to start our rapid fire demonstration and discussion around SmartList Builder, a fantastic tool for Microsoft Dynamics GP, CRM, and connecting other systems.
Okay, thank you. As I said, my name is Nicole Albertson. I'm a product specialist here at E1 Solutions, really specializing in the SmartList Builder product, hence why I'm here today talking about it. Want to go through it rather quickly so that we can get through showing you how we build one out and what it can do for you, but I want to cover a couple quick things before we get going. So when we talk about SmartList Builder, what does that mean? You'll see us reference it as the builders a lot too, just because it does contain so much more than just SmartList Builder. There's actually 4 modules involved. The first is SmartList Builder, which allows us to create new SmartLists. So where the default SmartLists that come in SmartList don't have the data you need, maybe there's a column missing, maybe there's not even a list for what you want to see, that's where SmartList Builder can come in and really fill that gap and allow you to build new ones with the data you need in there. With that, we have Excel Report Builder as well, which if you're using the Excel refreshable reports that come from Microsoft, they very much mimic the default SmartLists. So if you're using those, of course there's going to be the same gap there, and that we want to get you the data you need so we can create new refreshable Excel reports using Excel Report Builder. Same thing with the navigation lists in GP. They have their subset of data. Of course there's missing things there, so we have Navigation List Builder to create those. Those are our 3 kind of reporting modules within the builders. The fourth module in there is Drill Down Builder, and that allows us to create those drill backs, say from your Excel report or anything outside of GP, back to a GP window or SmartList. So if you have some data you want to drill back to GP and see it in the inquiry window or in the transaction window, we can certainly do that using Drill Down Builder. So those are the 4 modules. The data types available within those modules is going to be a little bit different depending on the module, but here's a list of all of them that would be available in SmartList Builder, and then its subset isn't available in like Excel Report Builder and Navigation List Builder. So we have Microsoft Dynamics GP tables, and that's going to be basically any table you enter data into through GP, whether it be your core modules, your sales, financials, purchasing, payroll, that type of thing, or any add-on modules such as human resources, field service, manufacturing, something like that, as well as any third-party products you have. So if you have a third-party product installed, we can report on that using the builders as well. In SmartList, we have the SmartList table type. That was new to 2013. So what that allows us to do is either modify the default SmartList or create a new setup with the same setup as the default one so that you have a starting point to create your own. If you need to add some columns to that or a new table to that, we can have a starting point. You don't have to link all the tables to start over. SQL Server Tables allows us to pull in any SQL table or view from any database that resides on your SQL Server. So if you have custom tables and views, maybe you're using something like CRM where we want to pull that data into a SmartList, we can do that using the SQL Server Table option. SQL scripting is also new to 2013, and that allows us to take any select statement, whether it's something you've written, something you found online, whatever it be. If that's the data you want to return, we can actually paste that right into the builders as your table so that it pulls that data right directly from the SQL script. You don't have to rebuild it linking tables or creating a view to do that. Data connections, that is going to be the connection strings that are built into those default Excel reports. We've taken all of those and built them in as data connections, so if one of those Excel reports is returning the data you want, we can use that as our starting point and not have to start from scratch. And then the last one, if you're using E1's extender product, we want to be able to report on all of that data as well that you're entering into the extender windows and forms, so we can pull that in as a data type there. Okay, so what I want to do now is spend most of our time just demoing SmartList Builder so you can see it in action. So I'm going to switch over to GP, and this is GP 2015, but SmartList Builder is going to look the same whether you're on 2015, 2013, even 2010. There's a few new features when we get into the newer module or newer versions, but the look and feel is basically the same. So to start, I want to show you a SmartList that is built in SmartList Builder. You're going to notice here under Financials I have one called Budget versus Actual. That is not a default to SmartList. It's something I've built, but it falls into the same list as you see with any other SmartList. And when I run it, it interacts the same as any other SmartList as well. I still have my search criteria. I still have columns where I can come to add additional columns if I'd like to, and my favorites are there. I can create favorites off of this as I wish. So it's going to interact with you the same, but the setup is going to be totally different. If I click Modify here, it's going to bring me into SmartList Builder. And now you can see this is the setup I have for that Budget versus Actual SmartList. So you can see I've pulled in a couple different GP tables, such as the Budget Summary Master, the Budget Master, and the Account Master. And just to show you that I can link multiple table types that we talked about, I've pulled in a SQL script. And it's just a select statement pulling in actually from a GP table, but I didn't want to rewrite that, so I pulled in that script instead of linking on that table and rewriting the calculation that it's doing inside of it. I can also do calculated fields here, so GP doesn't store the variance between the budget and actual amounts, so I created that calculated field to do that for me. So we can create any sort of calculated fields, whether it be calculating the difference between two dates, simple subtraction calculation like this, maybe trimming some string fields and putting them all into one, anything like that. Whatever you need to do in a calculation, we can do it there. And that will create a new column on your report. You can see variance kind of in the background here that it has added to my list and is calculating per line there. We can also do restrictions if I want to restrict this before the end user gets it. So maybe this report is only for 2015 and I never wanted to show anything else. I could put a restriction for that. As well as we can add go-tos, same as GP drills back to a GP window, or SmartList drills back to a GP window. We can do that to SmartList Builder. But what I really want to do here is kind of show you this in action. So let's build a new one. So we're just going to clear that. And what we want to do today is build one that is just a simple GL batch list, just something everybody should be able to understand there. Just to get a list of batches, not even the transactions in them, just a list of batches. So when we think about this, I'll show you the window that I'm thinking I want the data from. It's this window. So if we think about this is the type of stuff I want, but I want all of these batches in one list in SmartList. Okay, so we're going to go to SmartList Builder and see if we can do this. So we'll give it a name. We'll just call it GL Batches for now. And then I'm going to put it in the financial series within SmartList. So I can put it in any of those different series in SmartList that I want to, but it's a financial one, so we'll put it there. And once I've chosen all of that, the next thing is to add tables. So what data do I want to pull into this? Well, I know I want this batch information. So I'm going to go to add, and that's GP information. So I'm going to pick GP tables. Now you may notice that on this table list, data connections is missing. That's because data connections and the two SQL options actually have security behind them, and I haven't granted access to that data connection option yet. So we're missing that, but that's just to show that there is security behind these different table types. So somebody can't just go add your CRM tables without you giving access to CRM tables in the first place. So we're going to pick GP, and when I think about the general ledger batches, I would think the tables are in the financial series, but you can see here I can pull in any product I have installed. So there's a lot here, and then depending on which product you pick, you're going to get different series here. So I'm going to pick financial, and then when I look at the table list, there is a lot of tables here to pick from. Now if I look through this list really in depth, there's nothing in here called batches or anything with the name in there like that, so I'm not quite sure what table. Starting in the latest version of 2010 that's on our website, we added a feature called Table Finder. So on my batch entry window over here, I'm going to go to Tools and go to Table Finder. And let me get that so we can see both. And this Table Finder utility is going to help me find the tables that that window is using. So you can see it pulled in the form of batch entry, and it is telling me that these 10 tables or so are what that batch entry window uses. Now that's a lot more than I think I want to know, plus the fact that I don't know which one of these is truly what I need. It narrowed it down from a list of 2,000 is about what I have installed in my GP tables, down to 10, but let's narrow it down farther. So I can pick the actual fields that I want. Maybe I want the origin, and it'll tell me the specific table. Now you might get 2 or 3 if you're looking at a transaction type table where you'll get work and history or something like that, but you can usually pick between those. But I can keep going and say, well, where's the comment? Same table. Where's the number of transactions? Same table. So I can pick all the different fields I want, see what table they're in. They all happen to be in this posting definitions master. And over on the right side of that window, you can see it's telling me more information about that table, what it's called in SQL, what the true technical name is, and I can actually build a SQL script out if I wanted to with the fields I want. Just by clicking them, it's building that SQL script. Now on the bottom here, you can see the 3 buttons, and I can create either a SmartList Builder setup, Excel Report Builder, or Navigation List Builder setup right from here, and it would add this table. We've already got our setup started, so we're going to move that to the side so that we can see that table. We're going to come back in here, and now if we look over here on the Table Finder, we see that the series is Company, but it is under GP, so I'm going to switch this to Company. And now let's see if we can find that Posting Definitions Master. And there it is. And so with the Table Finder, I was able to figure out the table without ever knowing anything else about that data. Now if you look at that, posting definitions master probably isn't something you would guess to be the table we're looking for, so it's kind of nice to have that table finder. So we're going to close that table finder. Oops, we'll save this to add the table first so that I can get back to here and close that for us. So now we have that table, and it's just a matter of picking what fields we want. So we're just going to go down the list here and pick a couple. I'm actually going to order this by the display name so that it's alphabetical, so I can find the ones I want a little bit easier. We'll just batch total maybe. Let's get the, did I do batch comment? Yep. Okay, let's go get the origin and maybe the number of journal entries, or number of transactions is what they call it, and we'll call that good. So I'm going to order this by the default status now. So what I did is actually marked which, and I marked 5 of them, which 5 columns do I want on my report by default. All the ones in the display column, which we mark everything by default, you can unmark if you don't want. Those are going to be available in SmartList when I go to the columns button and click add as additional columns for me to add to my list as a one-off basis. So let's just show you what we have. And since I have SmartList open, it automatically updated SmartList with that new list. And you can see here's the 5 columns we chose. When we look at this though, it looks like we need to do some work because yes, I have my GL batches in here. Here's a GL batch right here. But I also have, looks like payables, some receivables, some payroll, all of that in here. So that table actually stores all of your batches, not just general ledger. So we need to enter a restriction for it to be general ledger. Now I could do that here under the search criteria, but this is a GL batch list. I don't want it to ever include anything else, so I'm going to do it in SmartList Builder. The other thing I'd like to do is rename a couple of columns to match what that window shows. The window calls the number of transactions, calls it journal entries. I want to change that. So let's go back. Oops, wrong button. Click modify again, and let's enter a restriction. So I'm just going to enter a new restriction for this. There's a field called series, and I'm going to say it is equal to financial. By default, it's showing everything. By me picking financial, I'm only going to get those, I think there's 6 or 8 batches that are in financial. If I wanted to, I could apply that restriction to a certain user. This scenario I don't want to, but something like a salesperson list or something in payroll where you have managers, you might want to assign it to a specific user where you have a restriction for each salesperson and you assign that appropriately to each user. Okay, so we've restricted it. Let's put our fields back on the top again. And let's rename our number of transactions to journal entries. And let's see, let's call this batch ID. So I can simply, just by typing new names there, rename my fields. I can also set up different field options on any of these fields. If I go into the field settings arrow there, it's telling me I can put on a string field, I can do different formats such as a phone number, that type of thing. On our origin, if you look back to our SmartList here, it's showing 1, 2, 3. I don't know what 1, 2, 3 means in the general sense when I'm looking at this. I'd like to know that it's a general entry, a clearing entry, or a budget transaction. That's the 3 types in GL. So I can define that on that origin, and most of the lists you will actually find are defined. This is one of the few that actually isn't. And so I went to the web and said, what do the 1, 2, 3 mean on this? And somebody had figured it out for me so that I didn't have to do the work. So we will put these in here. We'll save that. Let's save this and see what we have so far. So now we've limited our list. We have 8 GL batches, which is what I saw in the GL batch entry window. Did I not save our renaming of our field? Appears not. There it goes. Rename to journal entries. The origin is now showing the nice option instead of just 1, 2, 3. So we've gotten all of that there. So a couple other things I'd like to do. I'd like to know the status of this batch. Okay, there is a batch status field in here. If I order these by display name, we'll see one, and that's great. But the status I'm looking for is if it's marked, I want to know that. I also want to know this batch status that could be anything in here. I also want to know if it's reoccurring. Is there still reoccurring ones left? You know, I want to know the total status. All these different fields I want to bring into one. So there's a different field for reoccurring numbers. There's a different field for mark to post. I want to bring that all into one calculated field and do that for me. So we're going to create a calculation. And I apologize, I forgot to open the calculation before I started. So let me just, of course, there it is, hiding from me. So let me just open that notepad for us. So you can see here what I'm going to do is take a case statement, an if-then scenario. So if it is marked to post, which means it's 1, so it's marked, I want it to tell me it's marked. If it's not marked, keep going and check that batch status. And you can see there's all these different batch statuses I've put in here. Some of these don't apply to general ledger. I have the same list or the same calculation I'm using across the board, so I have it for receivables and payables and all that, so there may be some statuses in here that don't apply. But look at the different statuses. If it matches one of these, give me the text that matches appropriately. If it doesn't match any of those, because by default the status is 0, then look at the number of journal entries. If that's 0, then tell me there's no transactions. Okay, and if that's got some in there, then move on to the batch frequency, kind of checking is that greater than 1, so it's a reoccurring batch, and the number of postings is still some available, and recurring postings isn't set to 0, so it's still got some available there. Then tell me it's posted or doesn't have any available. Then tell me it's posted the max times. It's basically checking, did I post this already too many times? If none of that matches, tell me it's available. So we're just going to copy this so that you don't have to watch me type. We'll create a status column, and it's just going to be string. I'm going to paste this in here, and I can validate it, make sure that I didn't type anything wrong, copy and paste it wrong. And now we have this new calculated field on here. And when we save that, you can see now at the beginning I have this status. So this one actually has a transaction error, so it found that that was the status. I need to fix that. The rest didn't meet any of that, so it's available. Now if I come and go to the batch, the series post, and mark will say GL batch, come back here and refresh this, you can see that it is reading that status. So I can effectively read where that batch is at any point in time just by refreshing this list. Okay, one other thing I'd like to do is reorder those columns. I really don't want that status first, so we can move that down. And that looks good. We'll just leave it in that order, but you can reorder the columns here. Just to show you a couple other options, we aren't going to set them, but I can actually make a summary list. So I can group by, if you're doing a customer sales transactions type of thing, I could group by customer and get one line per customer that basically sums up all their sales for the list that I'm returning. Can also do multi-company reporting in here as well. So if I want this one SmartList to return the batches from all of my companies in one, I can do that simply by checking this and then turning on which companies I want to set up there. Okay, but I'm just going to save this, and then we have our completed batch entry list. So you can see our status moved over. So that's great. We have it in SmartList Builder. To show you how easy it is to get that in Excel Report Builder, all I have to do is come and duplicate, choose Excel, and once it puts it there, you can see it's very similar to what we had in SmartList Builder. Little bit of differences in that we only have a display. We don't have a display in a default because Excel doesn't have a columns button. So let's just unmark all of those, and let's just turn on a couple that we had before. Let I'm not going to worry about all of them. We'll just get a couple. That's good for just this report. So now I can publish that to Excel, and I'm just going to go to my desktop as a location just to ease of use here. Publish that, and if I go to my desktop now, get rid of a few windows, you can see that I have two GL batches here at the top. And if I enable that content, I have the 3 fields that I turned on. Now again, I can reorder the columns here using the same options to get the data I need into this report in the order I want. But it's basically the same data. That restriction came over, all of that. I can do the same thing to get it to Navigation List Builder if I want and have it as a navigation list. We also see Drill Down Builder here as another tool. And I actually have one built to go from my Excel report back to the account transaction SmartList based on the batch ID I click on. So I'm going to save this, and we're going to add it to our Excel report quickly here. Just by going drill down, add, and we'll add it on the batch ID, and we'll use that account transaction one. Now it says I need to know what your batch number is. We renamed it to batch ID, so I'm going to select that and save, and that's all I have to do here. I'm going to reorder our columns, just put batch ID on the top so we see it, and publish this again. Oops, and I need to close my Excel file before I can overwrite it. So now I've overwritten that. If I come back in here, and just to show you, I'm going to close SmartList so you can see that. One other thing to show here, I marked that as marked to show you how these work. If I come back into series posting and unmark that, come back here and go to data, refresh, that is now available. So I didn't have to close the file, reopen it, I can just refresh it right within Excel, and that's the nice thing about these Excel reports, is I don't have to go back to SmartList and export it or anything like that either. But now it has 13 transactions in it. I needed to know what that is. And you can see when I hover over the batch ID, my drill down is there. So if I click on that and say yes to the message to leave Excel, in the background here it's reopening SmartList and running the account transaction SmartList for just that batch. If I put batch ID on here, or batch number is what it's called in this list, you can see it's just that PM check batch. So I could have gone back to a GP window. I chose to go to a SmartList and see that detailed data there. So with that, that was a real quick overview of what SmartList Builder can do for you. But we will return to our slides. There's my contact information if you need it. Scott, did you want to talk a little bit more before we do questions, or?
Sure. I have, I think, 2 more slides, and then we'll open up questions. Please use the questions in the box. You guys can start typing while I close up. And we have 2 minutes to go. So thank you, Nicole. You're a true professional, and that was a very smooth and rapid-fire demo of SmartList Builder, and so many functions that I can see behind the scenes and that our consultants, our clients use all the time. And this just makes it that much easier, and I think it's a fantastic tool. So again, visit us online. We have a contact us section as well if you need to get in touch with anyone on our team. And again, we encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn and check out our website at www.endeavorsolutions.ca. Are there any questions that people want to post into the webinar forum under questions? Otherwise, we'll wrap this up shortly. Okay, I think that's good for today. I'll send out a thank you email. It comes automated from the system tomorrow, and we are hoping to be able to post a recording of this webinar up on our website. So again, we do have a special promotion, so give a call to Steve or Officer Terry, and happy to help you out and give you a few additional tips and tricks and get things moving. So with that, we're right on time to finish up. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for attending our webinar.